I get about 200 million views a month. That's a lot of people watching you. What I have learned over the years is that with that many people watching you, people are gonna form different opinions. Trainers mostly will come up with all these different stories and narratives of what is happening in my videos, and it's just completely the opposite. I'm helping these dogs because they are unapproachable. Like, they will be stressed out the moment they step out of the house, and the owners cannot handle them. Someone literally made a video one time and said that I dumped 25 dogs in the desert and that the dogs were never seen before. That video had 2 million views, and I got hundreds of thousands of people for a whole month who reached out saying that, you know, I should be killed and I should be in jail and where are the 25 dogs? There wasn't really anyone for me to look up to. There was never something like, oh, I can be like this guy or that guy. I didn't have TV, I didn't have internet until I moved here. I loved working with animals, and I grew up on a farm, so I always wanted to do that. And it took me years to really realize, oh, okay, I can really do this full time.
And we are back with the Dog Daddy, Kicking Ass Taking Names, part 2 for the Dog Daddy. We decided to do this because we have so many people who are reaching out right now, and they have a lot of questions. And so this is gonna be a little bit different of a style. It's gonna be a little bit more of, you're gonna get to see how Augusto has really is gonna tackle a lot of questions you guys have. And I've had you guys, actually a lot of you guys have reached out to me as well. And I really appreciate the messages and the love and support, and you guys are awesome. Yeah, I think you have honestly some of the best fans I've ever seen in the world. Yeah. And so for today, I just wanna cover that. So Augusto, if you don't mind telling us, like, let's just go right into it, right? So there's some controversies, there's some things that are going on right now. And I know that you've also had some emotional moments on camera. Do you want to start off with a message? Do you want me to ask you any specific questions? Do you want to say something? Sounds like you want to say something.
I mean, the controversy has always been there. You know, there's just so many things about me that make me stand out. So I think it draws a lot of attention to me. And it can be good and bad. So like anytime you have a lot of people watching you and they don't really know you, they can make their own opinions, you know? So, but you can ask your questions first.
Okay, so your haters specifically, because I've noticed that there are some online, and you know, everybody deals with it. And like you said, you deal with it. But how, I mean, how has that been? Have you seen anything in real life? Have you had any like instances where like a hater has approached you?
Well, I have had, I would say the worst part of it is that I feel like I always have to be watching my back, you know? So I have been in situations before, anything like if I plan a trip somewhere, they will contact like different organizations, different people that might be in contact with me to either lie about different things, to try to create any type of problem they can. So there was a trip to Australia, for example, that I was going there to just do a class, and people were so excited for me to come there. I did have a visa. It wasn't the right visa, so it was my mistake. But they had gone as far as like reaching out to them and sending them proof that I was coming there. You know, so if I had the right visa, it wouldn't have been a problem. But it's just the point that, like, I always have to watch my back because these people are going out of their way to create problems. So these are people from here that, you know, they had everything printed out that I was coming there. And I didn't do it like as I was doing something sneaky. I just got my visa online, and, you know, with the pandemic and everything, things are mostly online. But I have been in like different hotels where they came to kick me out because someone called that my dogs were attacking someone. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then it just goes to find out that it was just some random person who called and made that because they had seen me there. And they just chose to do that because they probably wanted to see me be kicked out and have it on video. They probably were filming from somewhere. I have been at a casino in Vegas and got the same type of complaint that I was soliciting for.
Yeah, soliciting, yeah.
So I was soliciting for photos, which is ridiculous because people try to give me money when I'm there for a photo because they don't know. And I'm like, I never accept it. You know, that's not what I do. Like, it's like $1,500 to work with me. Why would I take $2 from someone to take a photo? It just doesn't make any sense. I wouldn't want to be known for that. So to the fact that someone would go that far and make that type of accusation just to, again, see if they can get me kicked out, you know, people will do these things. And so when you feel like you're constantly having to watch your back like that, it becomes a little scary, you know? Like you can never really relax. Like right now, if I'm trying to hire someone, anyone that's going to be around me, for example, it's a huge headache of who can I trust to bring in, you know? And there's also all these fans and people who, like, they probably, most of them are really genuine, but you just never know.
Yeah.
So it put me in a position that I have all these people who love me and support me, but then there's also the ones that would love to see me go down.
I see. And how do you respond to all the criticism that's been going your way?
Yeah. Well, I get about 200 million views a month between all my platforms, like regularly. So that's a lot of people watching you. So in a single video, anywhere from 10 to 40 million views is like regular, And with that, what I have learned over the years is that with that many people watching you, people are going to form different opinions. And so the biggest problem that I get is that other trainers mostly will come up with all these different stories and narratives of what is happening in my videos, and it's just completely the opposite. And because they're looking at the action going on in the video, right? And they're taking little clips of it and saying that that's how I handle the dogs to train them. And in reality, I'm helping these dogs because they are unapproachable. Like, they will be stressed out the moment they step out of the house, and the owners cannot handle them. So you really have to be hands-on. If you use an approach that would take months to work, throughout that time, these dogs will have either bitten someone, they'll have ran away from the house, they cannot have any people over. So it's really causing so many problems that most likely the dog will be euthanized, or at least the dog will be given up on. So my clients understand that. They have watched my videos, they have seen my testimonials, they understand that that's what I do. So that's why my clients are so happy with the training. But the people watching outside of that, they will, and I feel like personally, I think that they know what they're doing. Because if they are professional dog trainers, they would understand. Maybe they don't agree with it, maybe they don't understand it at first, but they would have an open mind enough to watch based on the thousands of people I have trained. I'm literally in a different city every weekend. I come in contact with a couple hundred new clients every week. So that's a lot of new people, and you don't see them coming out and saying like, it was horrible, my dog is traumatized. Out of the thousands of people that I work with, it's like a huge, like very high success rate. And even just meeting them one single time in a group setting. But these trainers will then say that, that type of training will make the dog worse and it's not helping. And that's just them saying that. And they have been doing this for so long that it doesn't really stop me. I continue to grow. My followers are growing. My support is growing. More clients. So they go to different routes of now making up stories, I mean, people have made all kinds of horrible stories, like crazy stories. And so I always point out to my clients, if someone actually ever asks me, which now, luckily, again, my clients have done their homework so well that they don't question me.
Yeah.
Which is just, it makes me more powerful because now I don't have to worry about answering to them. At one point, all my clients were like constantly emailing me, what about this, what about that? And now they're at a level that I have so many people that want to work with me. So if they decide not to work with me, I'm not answering them because there's enough videos already out there, enough evidence of what I do. But people have done anyway from telling that my dogs ripped their faces off and they had to have like reconstructive surgery, to me sending my dogs after them. Just all kinds of crazy stories.
Well, Augusto, have you ever, here's the thing. Have you ever had a negative experience? Can you explain any issues that you've ever had arise in training, or is it typically
No.
you have it under control? And
So there has never been any incident where a dog actually got hurt or died or anything, or ran away. And I also have been inspected by every agency in the country. So American Kennel Club, the SPCA, you name it, they have all inspected me. There has never been any violations. And, so again, these people don't have anything. Like, I have no criminal records. I have never been arrested. I have never been charged for anything. And so because of that, just people know that. And so the best venue they have is to come up with just lies. So like someone literally made a video one time and said that I dumped 25 dogs in the desert and that the dogs were never seen before. And that sounds like so bizarre, but that video had 2 million views and I got hundreds of thousands of people for a whole month who reached out saying that, I should be killed and I should be in jail and where are the 25 dogs? And she had no evidence. There was no pictures, no videos, no nothing. She simply said that. And the only reason she said that is because I moved and I never showed where the dogs went because I have a lot of people in my team who take care of the dogs, So it's like simply because they don't know where they are, they made up this whole story and people believed it, And so there has been a lot of stories like that. And over the years, these things accumulate.
And so, you have a lot of, you're still doing it and you don't have to. I'm sure you've made a good amount of money. So Tell me, like, what's the reason you still continue to do it? You're traveling so much, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure you're tired.
Yeah, so what motivates me is actually the amazing feedback from my clients. So what people don't get to see is that actually someone will, let's say, pay me $1,500 an hour. Just other trainers are like, they don't even believe that it's happening. But the most unbelievable part is that a lot of my clients will actually tip me. If they can, that $1,000 tip is not uncommon for them to give me because they are that grateful for the work I have done for them. And so in general, I'm not talking about just money, but just the feedback from them, just understanding that I helped those people because I went there. These are, thousands of people around the country that wouldn't be able to bring the dogs to me. They would be limited to having to wait for someone else. And it's not easy to find a trainer who is even willing to handle these dogs. So what motivates me is understanding the reality of what I actually do, the impact that I make in these people's lives and the dogs' lives. And that, again, is something that maybe people don't get to see as much, but they also don't see the opposite of it either. It's neutral. Maybe the clients are not talking about it online, but they're not saying good or bad. I'm getting the feedback. A lot of my clients, they're professionals, they're doctors, they have a life, or in general, they don't want drama. They are actual clients. They actually needed the help. I think a lot of people could even be scared of saying something online because of the drama that's out there. But those people creating drama, they don't need my help. That's how I look at it. Like, they are not the owner of a dog that really needs serious help. So I learned that out of the millions of views that I get, the people who need me, they'll come to me. And then it keeps growing from that because they will tell the neighbors and they'll tell anyone that they come in contact who trained the dog and who saved the dog's life. And that's something that I do, regularly.
And I'm sure the people you work with, they're not just people who are, these people really care about their dogs. They're really serious about getting a transformation. So have you ever had any issues with training a dog? Like, have you ever had a dog that's just too stubborn, or like how do you deal with that? Because I see it's amazing what you do.
Yeah, I think what the advantage that I have is that I have a really good understanding of dogs, and different methods too, and what works and what doesn't work. So at the end of the day, each one of my clients, they get feedback that really makes sense to them. Even though I'm meeting them for the first time, I can tell them, this is what's going on with your dog. This is your dog's personality. Sometimes the dog is not even showing their true colors when they come to the class because it's a whole new environment. But I'm still able to point out, like, this is how your dog behaves at home, because I can see from body language how the dog is behaving there, what that's going to translate into at home when the dog is more comfortable. So if a dog is unstable, they're going to be unstable everywhere. The behavior may change, but they're still an unstable dog. They're not comfortable in their own skin because they're not comfortable. They don't have a handler who is showing them that they got it under control. So the dog is unstable.
Did you learn these things? Do you feel like you had like an innate ability with dogs? How do you?
Yeah. So I have been training dogs my whole life. Like, I grew up. This is another thing too that a lot of people don't see it. They only think I just started. The difference is I have always gotten attention anywhere I went with any dog because of the understanding. It's very clear. You put a dog here, like I understand the dog. You're trying to get the dog to do something and they're not responding. I will know why they're not responding. They're just like, you're talking to them in a way that they don't understand. You're talking to them at the wrong way, the wrong time. So I'm able to really connect with the dog and generate response, generate engagement really quickly. And so anyone who have dogs and they see it in person, they can see that. And I have been doing it for a long time. So I have worked with several different trainers, different owners, all kinds of different breeds of dogs and different temperaments. So the more you do it, the more experience you gain. But I have been training like since I was growing up.
And so, you have people from all over the world. Where do you think you have your like, where's your favorite place, and where do you think you have your most fans? Do you have like an area?
Well, I can say that through my analytics. So mostly Los Angeles, New York City, the biggest cities, definitely. But there's some others that are pretty popular too, like Chicago, Phoenix have a lot of people. Like, I already have a class for November and it's already almost sold out. So
what about Brazil? Have you, because you're from Brazil, like
I just went there. I don't have, it's definitely smaller because I didn't do any social media when I was there. And I don't have anything in their language. But surprisingly, since the last time I went there, I already had built like a little bit of a following from there as well.
Yeah, I think it's also...
But like out of other countries, I would say definitely like England, Australia have a lot of people.
So yeah, speaking of Australia, so you said that happened. So can you elaborate on that? What happened in Australia?
Yeah. Well, so basically like I said, I'm just a dog trainer going to different places to help people. People that are not my clients, who are not involved in what I do, will go out of their way to try to stop me any way they can. So whenever they have an opportunity, they will do it. And because I didn't even know, without knowing, I had the wrong visa to get into the country to do this one event that I had there. They had already submitted proof that I was coming to do these classes. They were the paid classes. And so from my understanding from my visa, it allowed for some work activity. And it was hard to get like specific information on it. And at the time I was doing things on my own. I have a whole team now who are way more on top of these things, so it doesn't happen again. But I was just innocently like thinking that visa was okay, went there, wasn't expecting anything from it. And because the visa was the wrong visa and people had submitted all this proof that I'm coming there to do the event, and Australia is extremely strict, they had to send me back. They were extremely nice about it. They did not handcuff me or anything because they said most people, they would have done all those things. They really, it was like a 50-50, you know. They don't like people to think that they can just sneak in. And so they're very strict on not allowing people to in with the wrong visa. But the whole purpose that these people do that is because they want to say like, oh, they don't want him in Australia. When in reality, no one from there could do anything. There was nothing. It's just, you know, my class was sold out. I mean, people were waiting. They're excited. They were very disappointed. They had driven hours to be able to come to this.
That does bring me to a good point, actually. So your classes, they're obviously sell out quick. They're full. What do you tell people to get prepared for your class before they get into the class? Because there should be probably a checklist, some things that you have them to do, right? I'm sure you have a process.
Yeah, so we explain to them what to expect from the class. A lot of it is already on my website. After they sign up, they get more in details, what to expect from the class. So everything from not interacting with each dog when they get there, to keep a distance from other dogs, putting a second leash for safety if they have an aggressive dog, muzzling the dogs before they come, you know, letting us know if they physically cannot restrain the dog before they come into the venue. Along many other things to get them prepared. But once they arrive too, I'm pretty on top of it, helping, putting backup leashes on the dogs, and if I feel like a dog is really out of control. But it's pretty quickly we start to get the dogs situated, and then as each owner learns quickly what they need to do, just to get the dogs to at least relax a little bit, I'm able to then speak to everybody at the same time. And then they start to practice. And then I continue to rotate between the dogs that need the most. And the goal is to get each client to get the most knowledge and as much training as possible in each training session. Even though it's like a 3-hour group training, I give them my all. Like I answer every question from, it's not that that's gonna be the whole training, but they understand, if they pay attention to everything that I'm saying, they have the homework to do at home after they leave as well.
What do you think that some of the biggest mistakes that they're making are as dog owners?
The biggest mistake is like they just don't understand the dogs, right? Which is basically the biggest mistake with my haters, is that they don't understand really what I do. Because what they're looking at is a dog gets stressed out because I have to approach them, grab the leash, and get them going. But it works, the method works. So their approach would be something that they would do a lot slower. So what I do in one group setting, they would do over the period of months at a time. So the problem with that approach, even though it may be less stressful in the long run, but it's also a lot less effective in the long run, because just owners that come to me, they're struggling with severe behaviors. So like they can't have anyone over. They have nightmares of just dogs opening the door, getting out of the car, getting out of the house. They will be running loose, biting people. They're completely out of control. So they want a way to understand their dogs better right now. They don't have months. If they have to wait months, there's so many things that can go wrong in between that time, or they're just completely overwhelmed that if a trainer would tell them this is gonna take 6 months to maybe improve, or maybe a lot of my clients, they actually have already tried that approach for several months to years, and it hasn't worked. So I go with an approach that it is more stressful, but it's saving the dog's life, saving the owner's life, because these dogs that I'm working with, a lot of these trainers that talk about me, they don't even get a chance to meet these dogs.
Right.
Just clients, it's a liability. They only trust me handling these dogs because they know I have a reputation for handling them. So they wouldn't even contact another trainer. They won't even say, hey, can you help me? Because they already know if you don't have confidence that you can grab this dog's leash and handle it, the client is not gonna have confidence to handle that dog, because it's gonna bite you and they're gonna be liable for it, they're going to be responsible for it. I don't hold my clients responsible for their dog's behaviors. I understand that they're there to learn, so they're anywhere from square zero to highly professional dog trainers that are dealing with specific behaviors with their dogs.
So have you ever been bitten? Like any session?
That's one of the main questions I get asked. I work with primarily aggressive dogs, and like I said, about 100 dogs a week at minimum, and I have like little bites here and there, but nothing. Never needed stitches. Never needed to go to the hospital or anything.
Wow. So I mean, even like the most aggressive dogs, like the way you handle them. Is there a mindset that you have that you can, like, what do you do? Because even I get afraid, and then
every
I feel
dog
like
is so different. That personality is different. So my approach, even though it may look all the same in the videos, because I also showcase specific types of videos that I understand will get people to watch me, right? So I do a lot of other trainings that maybe if I posted the videos, you wouldn't go viral because it's not that type of content. Maybe people would like it more, the people that do watch it, but they wouldn't really reach millions of views. But I do all different types of training, but what you're seeing mostly is a dog that's completely out of control. I'm just showing them that I'm not letting that behavior affect me. I'm standing my ground. It's actually very minimal corrections. It's mostly me just standing my ground and holding them away so they cannot bite me until they settle down, until they realize that they're not getting anywhere. And the dogs, they're pretty smart. Once they see that that current behavior is not getting them anywhere, they stop. And plus, because no one have intervened with the behavior before, they go to this moment of shock of like, wait, what's happening? Because what they know is they are in the front of the leash, jumping, biting, lunging. And so everybody's giving them space. I grab the leash. Most of the dogs will just pull back when I grab the leash because they have never experienced that before. So you're giving the advantage over them because I understand that they're going to feel that way because it's something brand new. The dogs, they lose confidence if it's something that they're not comfortable in. They haven't done it before. So for a highly aggressive dog, lunging, going crazy, because the owner is just holding back, they're so afraid. I grab the leash, the dog is like, well, I never dealt with this before. They pull back, they want to go back to the owner. But because they're pulling back, they already changed their mind. They're no longer like full force, I'm going to bite you, come close to me, I'm going to give you a bite. They're like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I don't understand this. So they want to go back to the owner. That gives me time to start to show the dog that as long as they lead the way, they let me lead the way, they follow directions, they can trust me. I'm calm. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not intimidating them. And they start to follow directions. And then they start to improve from there.
And then every single time you do this with I've seen the Mastiff video and like German Shepherd and King Corso and those dogs. And it's like every time you do this, I'm always thinking like this is the video that's gonna be the one that you get bit. Yeah. But you don't get bit really.
So again, it's having that confidence, understanding the dog. If you understand them, you know how to handle them as well. So even a dog that's really big, you can physically hold on to them. A lot of times people are actually becoming overpowered by these dogs because they mentally are not prepared to deal with them. I know that even in worst case scenario, one of those dogs was to latch onto me, I would hold on to them. I have techniques that would give me the best chances possible to pull the dog off of me. So this means I would never get overwhelmed and be like pulling away, because that's when you get severely, bit by those dogs.
So what do you say, like, if you're going to train a dog, there's somebody who's watching this, what do you tell them the mindset that they should have is with their dog? Because they are obviously, are they allowing the dog to take control over them and be the dominant one? Is it kind of a pack mentality? Or how does it work in that? Yeah,
so the biggest problem is that most people don't understand the dogs. So they're really way, way far back as far as everything that they need to know. So you can't just tell them one thing or the other. Like, they don't even know how to put the leash correctly on the collar, or what kind of collar to have, what kind of leash to have. So they really have this complete out of control dog because the dog have their own insecurities, and the owner is only seeing the bad behavior from the dog, but they don't know why that is. They don't know how they can change that. So they're holding on to this animal that they have zero idea how to communicate with. So it's like this wild animal at the end of the leash. And because of that, the dog is becoming more frustrated, more out of control, more fearful, more unstable.
So they're not speaking the language of
That's the biggest
dog.
thing. And so there's no way for me from a distance to tell them what to do. They don't even know how to take the first step out of the house with that dog. Like, they're overwhelmed. The dog jumps on them. The dog rolls down on the ground. The dog bites the leash, bites their legs. Like, the owners, they're way too far gone for someone to say, I have a better approach. And they would never, just these trainers that talk about me, they would never be able to show actually a dog that is just like that. And then their excuse is going to be that, oh, they don't let the dogs get to that level. But that is not true. A lot of my clients, the moment they step outside, the dog is already screaming. The dog is already pulling every different direction. From 100 feet away, You know, 100 feet away or more, just dogs already lunging towards everything. And the owners, they can't even walk. They're holding the dog back. When they come to my classes, it's not uncommon for them to fall down because their own dogs are pulling them down to the ground. I have a ton of that on videos. They get there holding onto the dogs and they just sit on the ground and cry because they had to walk like a half a mile to get there from the car where they parked.
Oh, yeah.
Because these dogs, they don't get normal walks. They have been limited to only their yards. I think it's, you know, it's so extreme that a lot of people don't quite understand really what I do. And most trainers out there, I know for a fact, like I have a lot of friends who are trainers, they won't deal with these dogs. They get paid the same amount of money with less risk, way less stress. I mean, it's a lot of stress for me being involved with these dogs all the time because every time I get there, I'm starting from zero all over again with, you know, thousands of pounds of dogs combined because they're all lunging, all crazy, and I have to work with each one of them and teach the owners all at the same time.
So I actually got bit by my parents' dog, and his name's Milo. He bit me right here.
What
and
kind of dog is it?
He's a little Shih Tzu slash I don't know what he is, like Shih Tzu slash another dog, like a Maltese Shih Tzu.
How did that happen?
So when he had his bone and he's under the table. And when he has I think he has like a fear, like a very insecure fear of because he's small or something. Mm-hmm. So and when I went to go under the table, because I was basically just gonna I was basically gonna touch him to basically bring him over to like try to put the leash because I was gonna try to train him.
Yeah.
And then I put my hand down and he bit me. This was only like a month ago. Or something.
Yeah, so, you know, even like that, watching the body language, because even when it looks like there's no warnings, the dog is letting you know. It can be just with the eyes.
It was like under the table, so like he feels like that's his.
Right.
I think he feels like that's his territory or something.
Yeah, it's like resource guarding. It's pretty common with dogs.
I'm just curious as to like I'm trying to figure out how do we stop him from doing that behavior.
So there's two main methods, and this is where it becomes, you know, a situation where trainers can disagree. Now, if it was only disagreement, it would be great because then we could have a conversation. There could be another trainer here. They would say, this is what approach I would use. And I would say, yes, I can see where that could work. But when that doesn't work or it doesn't work fast enough and you have to get this under control, I know my method works. So my method would be I would have a leash on that dog. Every time you approach and you see the body language getting kind of tense because what the dog is doing is like, oh, this is mine. And you have to learn to observe the body language. If you're observing them, you see that the dog is getting stiff and, you know, eyeballing your hand as they're getting closer. They're already thinking what they're gonna do. They're already thinking, this is my bone, you cannot get close to it. So the dog already knows exactly what they're doing. I would have a leash on there, I would apply leash pressure, make the dog walk away, and do many repetitions until the dog no longer have this possessiveness over the bone because they learned it's mine. I can take it whenever I want. Mm-hmm. So instead of you going with your hand so you don't get bit, you use the leash, but there's pressure, and you're demanding the dog to walk away from that. Until they let you put your hand on the bone, they're a little bit from a distance, you're controlling it with the leash, and then you see the dog learning that that's your bone. You may give it back to them, but it's yours. Mm-hmm. The alternative to this would be you hand feed the dog, you hold on to the bone while the dog is eating, or you give them space and never try to take it from them. So the problem with that is that the dog never really learns that that's your bone. So if a dog is really mild with the behavior, this method would work. Mm-hmm. If the dog is really determined, and to have a strong personality, this is their bone and they cannot have it, this becomes a huge problem because you're gonna avoid taking that bone until you have a kid with disabilities, a young kid, someone that doesn't pay attention, someone that doesn't see the dog there, they pass by and they get bit because the dog is constantly thinking, this is mine and how dare you get too close to this. You know, so even if you use approach where you don't try to intervene, it could be 5 years down the road, someone's gonna get bit because you forget, or you move, or someone else moves into your house, or you have kids down the road. This becomes a liability.
So there's a common saying that says you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Do you agree with it, or do you disagree?
No, it's definitely not true. The way to train a dog is when you start and prevent bad behaviors. So you literally focus on preventing all these things. And addressing it right away when it starts. And if a puppy shows aggression for the first time and you correct it right there and then, it's not a habit yet. You're just literally letting them know, don't even think about it. And then they move on from that. If the dog has been doing this for 5 years, 10 years, and they're so confident that whenever they have a bone, no one can take it from them. Of course, they're gonna put up a fight. Of course, it becomes more stressful for them. It does not mean at all that the dog is not trainable, but that's why you always want to focus on preventing these things because especially if you're not a professional trainer, it may look like impossible because you're dealing with something that you're breaking a strong habit at that point.
So I do have a question about the trainers. You have other trainers out there. There's a ton of available. So now, are you gonna ever do you do training classes for trainers?
Yep, I have my next one coming up in a week. And people flying from all over the world to do this 5-day trainers course. And then eventually they will get certified through me and become available on my website for people to book them.
Okay, so if they're like a local in that specific area, then
it could be anywhere. Yeah, so like this time around, we have someone coming from France. We have people from Australia already come, and Canada. And then, of course, from all over the U.S., different states. So the ones that do pass everything, they do the 5-day course, and a lot of them already are trainers. So this guy from France, he actually is a dog trainer already. The last time, we get everything from people that are switching careers. From like, I had doctors come, I had lawyers come. They want to go into becoming a dog trainer, all the way to professional dog trainers that have facilities for 100 dogs. And they want to learn how I do it because that's the thing about me. Like I get to travel, I get all these clients, I get to charge decent price so you can make a living, and it's like it's very attractive to people who are in the business and want to do that. So
I mean you have done something that I think a lot of people dream of, which is like if you can do what you love and your passion. I think what you've done is one of the most stand out from the crowd type of jobs where you actually chose your passion, you followed it. Did you know you were going to be a dog trainer when you were young? Like you already knew that?
Yeah, it's funny because I always thought I would be on a farm and have a bunch of dogs. I'd have all just different, dogs and different animals, but not really dog trainer per se. I always liked training them, my own, but also I grew up in Brazil. So there wasn't really anyone for me to look up to. There was never something like, oh, I can be like this guy or that guy. I didn't have TV, I didn't have internet until I moved here. So I just did it because I loved working with animals and I grew up on a farm. So I always wanted to do that. It was actually people telling me that I would do it. And it took me years to really realize, oh, okay, I can really do this full time. Because I actually always got attention with it, whether I just walk my dog down the street or a pack of dogs. I mean, when I walked a pack of dogs, there was always traffic stopping, just to be like, how are these dogs also well behaved? And I could take them everywhere. And then over the years, when I started posting on social media, the videos would go viral. And I was, again, really just happy to be doing something that I loved, which is working with animals. And I started to realize that's what I'm going to do is train dogs. But I also didn't even think I'm going to do this like full time for social media. And not until, my whole following is from a year and a half ago. So all my platforms are like, I had 60,000 followers on YouTube a year and a half ago. So from that to now, I'm at almost 2.6 million. So that's a huge
What did
difference.
you change in that time?
I started being consistent with it. So before I would do enough training, I got enough clients I got a farm in Massachusetts, and then I moved to South Carolina. I had 4 horses. I had all my dogs there, but I wasn't traveling. I wasn't really posting videos. So I was limited to, for someone my age, even as at 19, I was making my own money, buying whatever car I wanted, like cash. But I was kind of, again, didn't have a direction. I really didn't know what I was doing business-wise. It took many, many years for me to like kind of put it all together. So a year and a half ago, I started traveling and posting videos consistently. And probably maybe 2.5 years ago is when I grew up on TikTok, but that account got banned. So I kind of rebranded myself because my videos were actually all with my dogs, and I started for the first time ever making content with my clients' dogs. So I had done it before, but never in the short format and all that. And so that became a hit right away. And so now ever since then, from a year and a half ago to now, it has been constant growth from my new TikTok account that has 2.6 million and then almost 2.6 million on YouTube, and then a Facebook page, and then Instagram.
So you're growing pretty fast, because I think the last time we spoke, you had probably 2.2 million?
Not even.
2 million?
I think, yeah.
I
think overall it has like almost doubled in numbers.
So, I know you said it, but what's your secret to this?
Well, again, being consistent, with anything with social media, like you find something that works and you have to just keep posting similar content. Like I said, people were always attracted to my training, my involvement, any involvement that I would have with dogs. And I learned how to put that onto social media now. And again, being consistent because it's all word of mouth. The fact that I travel makes it more exciting too. I definitely always like to stand out because even from before I had like my own style and everything, people would always talk like I would walk my dogs with like just sandals and they'd be like, what professional dog trainer wears sandals, you know? And so they always had this thing about being unprofessional, or also in general, I would show my true personality in my videos before. And people would always criticize that, like what professional dog trainer posts a picture shirtless or something. Like they always targeted that because I was different, you know? I mean, things are changing more and more now, but you have to think I also started like 10 years ago. So dog training is definitely something that is an industry that is growing right now. And like I said, there's literally doctors and lawyers who are switching to this career path because they can work at home. They can work anywhere they want, or they can do like I do. They can travel and have clients, you know, worldwide. And so with all that being said, it's like now I have branded myself by standing out in many different ways, not just how I dress or anything else, but I'm just myself. And I don't have to, like, I never had a uniform. I never had something that says my company name, not even business cards. I'd rather people just find me, they like what they see, they follow, they watch, and then they book me.
And are you planning on, I know you're planning on doing this probably forever, but what about the fame side? It looks like you're kind of getting to that point. Is that something you want to, like, do you aspire to have like a big platform and be famous, world famous, or?
Well, so like, you know, I have had TV show offers like throughout the years. As of right now, like the offers are very like good offers. But like I said, I get 200 million views a month. Now this is with my videos. I edit my videos. I will do a class, a 6-hour class. I'll be in the car to the hotel and I'll have a video out to be posted. Like a great example is like my last video from that went really viral from like 10 days ago. It has 42 million views. And it was just that I had it filmed by someone that was in the class, edited as I was driving to the hotel and posted. And now it has 42 million views. And it got a lot of new sales for upcoming classes. But imagine if I was to do professional videos on my own platform. That's why I haven't accepted any offers for TV shows. Because as of right now, I own everything that I do. I decide what I post, where I go, you know. But I do have offers for TV shows, which I'm not like that crazy about it anymore. It depends. You know, I definitely see where I want to have a voice because I understand that a lot of people have to be educated on understanding dogs better. So having a platform that's not a matter of just being like, oh, you're famous or you have this many followers, but is that I do have a voice. You know, even sometimes there's things that just people are choosing because they're uneducated, whether they ban a breed of dog or they ban certain, you know, training methods or training tools because they don't understand it. Having a platform really helps you be able to stand up for those causes.
Awesome. Well, Augusto, I want to thank you so much. This was incredible. If you guys want to see Augusto, anything, it's The Official Dog Daddy on all platforms, whether that's on his YouTube, his Instagram, TikTok, and maybe, who knows, maybe we'll see you on a TV show one day. So
yeah, maybe.
Alrighty, everybody, Kicking Ass, Taking Names podcast. Thank you guys so much, and stay tuned for more videos. Thanks.